We're back. Our second segment tonight. We've got Amen with us. Good evening.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey.
Honored to be here. You guys are doing some really cool things, man.
Yeah, we try. Sometimes we do, and a lot of times we're just making silly fools of ourselves. But hey, tonight, we're going to... I mean, we both spent a little time taking a YouTube class, goodness, about 6-8 months ago now. Gosh, time flies.
Yeah, we did. Good course.
And you've been instrumental in doing video work on a couple of different fronts with your video blog, and you're also doing some educational videos, which we featured on the Disc Jockey News, which people have been just eating up with the whole teaching the Ableton? No. Ableton. Goodness gracious. Ableton.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's it's one of those things. Even when you started DJing, if you wanted to do something, you had to figure it out yourself. It's just a lot easier to show it on video for other people, right?
So let's talk a little bit about Ableton. For those people who have no idea what it is, give them the elevator speech of what Ableton is.
So Ableton is predominantly a production software. A lot of the big EDM DJs are using Ableton for production. And then out of that, because the timing is so impeccable in that, someone figured out that you can actually take it and use it to DJ. Not in the conventional sense where you have total tactile control, but it's pretty good. And to be honest with you, I'm probably just like yourself. I came from the vinyl world, and I didn't really get into the CDs. I went straight from vinyl to Serato, and then I just got comfortable. And then when I found this I can't remember which concert I went to. We were doing the sound and stuff. One of these I can't remember which DJ it was. I think it was Avicii. I can't remember who it was, but one of these big DJs was playing, and he was using, basically production software to DJ, and it just blew me away. I found it so, it was just something new to me, and it gave me that sort of motivation to get back into DJing again.
Cool. Very, very neat. And you've been doing the little tutorials. Now, what have you been focusing on in the videos to teach others how to use Ableton?
A couple of things. One is to make mixtapes and DJ mixtapes, because that is your, if you're a DJ and listen to this, if you don't have online presence with mixtapes, that is your business card. That's your resume.
Yeah.
And doing it in Ableton is just so easy. It's like I said, the fact that you can go in, do a couple of markers, and the track gets put into a tempo grid for you is just amazing. The audio features in the software and I want to make this clear. It's not about cheating. It's, DJing is not about, what you can play on the turntables technically as much as it is what DJing represents you. So I just want to make that clear. Like, this is just something you show people and say, I'm DJ, this is what I play, sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And then on the production side of things, I'm teaching people how to use that functionality, because it's like basically, the old MPCs. Mm-hmm. It's a very, very great software if you're coming from the MPC world, if you're into sampling and making beats and stuff. Of course, I don't need to touch on the EDM, because the EDM producers are, eating Ableton up right now. Oh, yeah. So that's very popular. And then, so there's that part. And then at the end of the day, once you do your production, this software is so good that you can take it and mix professional sounding records in this, in Ableton. And that's what I teach, kind of like all three things at the same time on my YouTube page.
Yeah, and we'll put links to the YouTube channel. And if you go to the Disc Jockey News, you go to the website, we've featured quite a few of the training videos, and again, they've been hugely popular. People have really liked what they're seeing with that. And I know one gentleman I talked to actually in Las Vegas last week had made comment to the Ableton videos, and he was like, I learned so much, but he goes, then my head hurts after, because there's just so much with the software that he's got to learn yet. So
yeah, and I try to I'm not a fan of doing like 20-30 minute videos, because like you said, your head does start to hurt. So I'm trying to sequence them in a way that if you start in one, you're at the point where you can jump to the next step whenever you're ready. Nice. But within those steps, you have something that, for example, if you're producing a record for someone and you want to play it back to them, at every video there's a stage where you can print that mix and kind of play it back to yourself. So like, I'm trying to do the videos where you're not lost in between sessions. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I try, and that just comes from my background being in the studio pretty much my whole life. So I'm trying to do it. Not only does it make sense, but timing wise it makes sense, and in series it makes sense as well.
Cool. Good stuff. Yeah. Let's jump into kind of the focus of it. And this was a little bit of it, but let's give some tips and ideas for the DJs out there who are wanting to start to use YouTube and video things with their companies to help promote at different levels. And the first area I wanted to kind of have you kind of elaborate on is the concept of doing your video blogs or your video entries and doing those consistently, because that's been something you've been really working on and doing a great job with. So kind of talk about that a little bit.
Consistency is everything. I mean, whether you do it once a month, twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever this is, you got to be consistent, because it puts you mentally in a position that you know what to expect, right? And for me, like I said, it was really difficult to find stuff, the stuff that I wanted to do. I had to figure it out, and then I would put it out, and people are like, well, how did you do that? And it's hard to explain when you're in the studio, when you're DJing. Like DJing and mixing, it's a visual thing. So for me, it's like, okay, I need to put this out so other people can learn. And with me, there's no secrets. Like what you see is what you get. Like I've been very fortunate. I've been able to work with some top people in mainstream in the studio and stuff, and as much as they want to help, they're so busy with work, they don't get time to do this. So I was able to take, some of these trade secrets and put them out, and, you're getting the real deal, right? And, it's, in terms of resource, I'm not saying I'm the best resource, but what you see and what you get is basically pro tips that I've learned from other, pro Grammy award-winning engineers and DJs and stuff.
Yeah. So, and help bringing that to the industry. Yeah.
And, the video aspect it's funny how over the years it was, you got to have your crates of records, go out and DJ, and it was a very different world. And this is where people kind of miss that part. It's like, for example, my friends will come up to me and like, yo, you know what, I want to DJ, I want to learn vinyl. And I'm like, why? Why do you want to learn vinyl? Yeah, it's cool. But at the end of the day, today's a visual world.
Yeah.
I've gone from vinyl to like Serato video, and that's where I excel now. Like I'm on video, what do you call those, record pools and stuff.
Yep.
And that's what I prefer to do, because it's a visual world. People don't listen to music, they watch music. Right. And I think that's where, like, for example, if you go to the EDM shows, or you go to, like, they're just blasting visuals while they're DJing. And these are phenomenal, entertainers that have the, the back, I was listening to your discussion earlier about the lights and stuff. It's all entertainment. It's all tactically done. And I think that's where, the video really helps. If you're not in the video now, you should really, really look at it. Because even like in the wedding scene, where I came from, like everything is now video based or some sort of entertainment based, where they have like flying robots and stuff. So it's interesting. And I've been very fortunate, just like yourself, we've been able to see the sort of evolution of DJing,
Yeah, that's definitely a change. It's kind of grown, evolved, and as you say, the video has become such a huge part. And as Jeremy was talking about in the first segment, with the lighting and making it the visually surrounding event, which we didn't think about when we first started. I mean, if we had 2 floods on a dance floor and we could change color, we were like, woohoo! It was a good night. And now you've got to be able to create that atmosphere, because the attention span is like that.
Yeah, I mean, and coming back to Ableton, what I really like about it, because it's a MIDI software as well. So, a lot of these LED lights are MIDI controlled. So if you know what you're doing, you can have a full set, an hour set of what you're going to play already beat mapped out. Plus you can trigger specific lights at the same time.
Oh, very cool.
And video clips. So, so for example, you're playing some hip hop record, right? You don't necessarily have to play that video. You can play your own stuff. And that's what I love about Ableton. It gives the DJ, the creative tools that you can, take your own stuff take acapellas, and this is why I love it, and this is why it's revived my sort of love for DJing, is I'm able to go in the studio, make my beats, play acapellas, and in instant sync time I can play, my own beats, my own drums, my own keys. It's given the DJ the opportunity to be, an artist or a musician player, or whatever you want to call it. And I think that's where DJing is going to, more of sort of like, DJing / production, and using your own material in a form of, artistic talent. I think, especially, and Ableton's made that really easy.
And I think you're definitely on the right track there, is that's what's going to separate DJs, is that talent level and the way you can display that talent at different mobile events. Because if you can't, then you're down there fighting with the other entry level DJs. Really is, I think, the best way to describe it, compared to making a name for yourself, whether it's in a club or even in the mobile world. Because if I can perform, and I can perform in a way that is different than everyone else, that gives me a head or a nod over the same as everyone else DJ.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like you said, when we used to do shows and we used to bring our crates of records and stuff, it's fair to say that people came out to see that element of surprise, but also listen to the music.
Yeah.
Right. But now, because of, the age of YouTube, people are looking to relate to you in terms of what you play, not how you play. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Like when I go out and I get booked of how I do things, but more importantly, they book me because they built a relationship with me based on the music that I play. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah.
And that was based on what I play, how I play, and now I've added, visuals and crowd interaction or whatever it is. So they're not booking a DJ anymore. You're booking an artist, and that's where you're going to see the shift of mobile DJs versus entertainer, and it's a significant amount of jump. Like I know just in my area here where people added like a few little things, and they're the best wedding DJs of the year, like 3 years running.
Right.
And they've taken DJing, the art of playing and administering music to a crowd, to not only are we going to play music to you, but we're also going to sing to you. We're going to dance to you. We're going to, throw stuff in the air. We're going to have EDM. You know what I mean?
Entertaining. So, yeah,
exactly. And I think entertainment is the key.
And going back, as you mentioned earlier, when we'd bring these crates of albums, or even in the early CDs, people came and listened to us. We didn't have to entertain in many ways beyond playing music, because our collection of music really was so unique to us, because not everyone had some of the music that I had and some of the music you had. So we could go in, and just our collection of music at times drew people to my shows. Well, that obviously has changed. So now, as you mentioned earlier, it's not only what I have, but how I play it and how it all comes together and how I entertain the audience that really sets me apart and makes it so people will come and spend 3 times the money on me than they would another DJ to do the same job.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's gone from more of a random style to more of a premeditated sort of, okay, we need to think about this and what we're going to do. Yeah. I wouldn't say presets, although, a lot of the stuff I do is presets, just because, and this is something I learned actually from, some other people that are actors and stuff, and, they do speech therapy. It's like, listen, when you go out and you perform, you're better off doing the same thing over and over again and perfect it.
Yes.
Versus, and this is something that was really hard for me to do, because as a DJ, you don't want to play stuff that other DJ plays and blah, 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 right?
Oh, yeah, and you don't want to do the same thing over and over again. We got to be fresh. You want to do the same
thing over, because, like as DJs, we all got ADDH, right? We got to, play like 30 seconds of a song and then flip it. Yeah. So I figured out the style that I want, the type of music that I want to play, and I absolutely did the best that I could to perfect it. And that, honestly, it totally changed the game for me. Yeah. Because it wasn't like, wow, like I prefer the compliment, you play real good music versus you're a real good DJ, because, it's a difference in thinking, right? Like I went out and I did my job, like I know as and not to sound arrogant, but a healthy respect for myself, that I'm a good DJ, but that's subjective. But when someone says you play really good music, that's what, you hit the nail on the head. Like that's what your objective was, to go out and just absolutely crush it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's giving me the ability to, and the beauty of today's world is, like, before, I think, and you'll know this, when we do events, it was like, okay, we need to have kind of like a vast majority of everything: rock, pop, dance, disco, this and that. Now you can, there's with so many genres of music, you can really home in and pick a niche and just perfect it, and you're just gonna, you're gonna crush it. And there's so many examples, Skrillex and, so and so. Like even in house, there's all these different levels of house.
Oh yeah.
And they've all made a career out of it. I think, and that's really cool. Is like the DJ is a lot more important in today's world than they were, whereas they were an afterthought, maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Very much so.
So, and that, so I think, the timing can't be perfect, it can't be any more perfect.
Yeah. We've got a little over 10 minutes left, Aman. I want to talk about the gear we use when it comes to shooting video, because you do not only your studio video, which you do with the computer, but you're also doing a lot of things that are mobile and capturing your everyday life.
Yeah.
So let's give the what kind of things would you recommend for someone who's coming in and saying, hey, I want to get into like doing video blogs at my event?
First of all, if you want to build your, let's just call this a social media brand, because that's the kind of stuff like I prefer to do. And my side thing is you got to be all in on Snapchat as a DJ and Snapchatting your events. And all you need is a mobile phone for that. Right. I mean, you got to do it, because people again are, it's basically the blinkers have come down, and it's a non-personal world now where people want to know what you're doing at any moment in time.
Yes. And
you can use this to your advantage. Like when I'm at gigs, I'll be like, I'll be snapping, or, I'll be like, this is a hot record. And there's so many things you can do, right? So that's an easy one. Everyone's got a cell phone. I attach a GoPro at the front of my case, and I'll have another one kind of up top behind me.
Okay.
And I'll just, let it run. And then, and I'll have the one on top on the super wide. So, looks like it's, it's got the fisheye.
Yep.
And I'll use some of that. And then, but again, the main focus for me is actual, my screens, the LED screens in the back. That's what I want people to focus on. And then, but what I'll do is I'll actually have a friend of mine in some cases where he'll have a, like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. And because they've got, Wi-Fi, we can set up the app, and we can go in and, like basically shut the music off and be like, say for example, the Super Bowl's on, and we'll ask questions in the crowd. So what'd you think about the Super Bowl, and be live on the screens and stuff. So we've been able to figure out a way to, live interact with the crowd, which has been huge for us. It's been really cool because again, remember, it comes down to why you DJ. See, for me, like my DJ's name is Reminisce, right? And that for me is about creating memories. And music for me is just a tool, right? The videos I create added, a whole different arsenal for me. It's like, I've got all these video cameras, like I got DSLRs, I got these GoPros. Yeah, that's great, but the crowd doesn't really care.
Yeah.
But if I can use that tool to show them why I bring them. So for example, like I'll have a GoPro in someone's face and have a mic and it would blast it live, whatever it is on the screen. We just created a moment for someone, right? And it's something they're going to always remember, because you've got to remember the videographers there at these events too, right? And they're going to see this. So, it's one of those things where it's not expected, but as a DJ, it's kind of like my responsibility to be, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and totally catch people off guard and get them out of the comfort zone, and it makes an amazing event in terms of personal stuff that you can post later. We've had a lot. Actually, it's funny. We go out and we try to crush it on the turntables or whatever, but I think I've had more love from like little bits and pieces of people being on the screen than I have on the actual music, but it's just the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. You were getting back to the visual part that people like to see more than they like to hear, unfortunately. And for those of us who, really like the old days when we could just play music and not have to do all these other things because there's more setup and more prep and more da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Times
but again,
changed.
The video for me is, I'll get my buddies who are videographers, they'll come in and they'll dub it. And I'll have another guy on the laptop. So basically we'll try to, punch while I'm DJing, punch in feeds, and, they'll take certain shots. It's again, and to be honest, these are mainly for like, private events or weddings and stuff. Cause our goal is to, to show to this family or whoever is getting married, or whoever's event it is, that we care. We know you've paid us money to provide you a service, but it's beyond about a service. Like, we want to come in here and absolutely crush it. We want to show you guys on the screen that you guys are having fun.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, to be honest, it's a lot of hard work at the events, and in terms of short-term value, you're not going to see anything. But out of that one gig, just out of one video clip, if you've booked 3 events in the next 2-3 years, it's paid itself off, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think that's the way you got to look at things, is short-term pain versus long-term gain. But videos, definitely. I mean, if you're a DJ and you're thinking about it, just dive in. You're going to make tons of mistakes. I mean, we've messed up so many times with videos and glitches and stuff, but it's just the way it is, right?
Yeah, it's all part of the learning process. And,
yeah, 100%.
I mean, just as an example, the DJNTV, the videos you guys are watching right now, this has taken 2 years for us to get to the point where we can run a show without glitches most of the time. And the glitches now are YouTube glitches as opposed to ours, which were ours for the longest time.
Yeah.
Oh, how technology has changed. A last thing for the bloggers, when you're doing you're out in the field where you're doing your personal blog, your daily blog, what kind of equipment for those who are wanting to do something like that? They want to get into doing a YouTube video, and they want to do maybe a couple of times a week, but they want to do something that's quicker and more often. What kind of gear and such
Sure.
you use for that?
So I started out with my iPhone 5S, and then from or any cell phone will do that shoots in HD. And then from there, I migrated to the GoPro. I like the GoPro, but the problem is the battery life really sucks on it. So you got to carry a bunch of batteries. And then I did have a DSLR at the time, a Canon 60D, but I sold that because I jumped into mirrorless. So I'm all Sony now. So I shoot. My main vlogs, when I'm outside, I'm shooting with this. This is a Sony RX100 Mark III. Great camera quality. The lens on here is epic. It's it's an amazing camera. And then my main camera, when I shoot all my when I'm indoors, when I'm at events, I'll shoot with the A7 Mark II because I've got the Rode mic on it for audio. Us being DJs, we're sticklers for audio, right? The audio's got to be good, otherwise
We would try, get as good as possible.
But I mean, in terms of equipment, you can get into it, and this is where people always say, "Well, equipment doesn't matter." I'm sorry, but it kind of does. I mean, if you can, if you're going to go out and do, good vlogs or do video, my recommendation is get something that's going to shoot at least HD, 60p, 30p, because again, we've gone to a visual world. I would say maybe 5 years ago, it didn't matter as long as the audio was okay. I think now it's changed. For example, if I'm going to a page and the audio is decent, but the video quality isn't very good, I don't think I'm going to stay. Yeah. Right. I mean, I know it was before, it was like, if the video didn't matter, but as long as the audio was good. But I think times have changing. So my recommendation is if you can dive in and get something like a DSLR, I mean, like a 70D or an 80, Canon. And the nice thing about these are auto focusing lenses and cameras. That really helps. But that's basically the equipment that I have. I'm looking to get the A7 Mark II for my rig, the Sony A7S Mark II, because it's a low light king, and you know how it is when we DJ, we're always in the dark.
Yep. This
one's brutal. Like, I'll have to have a light and something, and it's really grainy. But with the A7 Mark II, the A7S II, I'll be set. That's pretty much all the gear that I need, and I edit in Adobe Premiere.
Okay, that was my next question. Is I've gotten into Final Cut Pro, and I've been using that very well. But my boys are into Adobe Premiere, and they use that.
I was also Final Cut Pro. It's funny. I have Mac because of my studio. I'm running Pro Tools, so I do have Final Cut on that. And then, but when my Mac laptop died, I didn't want to go out and spend like $4,000 on a laptop. So I thought, okay, I need something in the interim, and ended up buying a gaming PC. That's one that I'm on right now. And I was blown away by it. So I'm not saying one is better than the other. Don't get me wrong. I've got both, both have their places. But you could, like, if someone's looking into get, to edit 4K or whatever, that's the other thing, guys. In the entertainment world, it's 4K. I don't vlog in 4K, not yet, just because, it's a daily vlog, but 4K, it's where it's at. And then you want something like a gaming PC or a Mac to be able to edit that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes, we've done some 4K edits already on our end, and it takes some horsepower to do that. Oh, it does. But, eventually, when the world catches up to that technology, it's going to be great for that. But yeah, little things like this show, we won't be doing those in 4K because then they'll see every little bump and. God, those guys they're really old.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Good stuff. If people want to find out more information, find your website and different things, where can they go to check those out?
Best place to get a hold of me is my website, www.djreminisce.com. Everything's there. All my social media links. That's the best place to get a hold of me. Email address. Everything's there. Central point right there.
Cool. And you've got your links for the tutorial videos and all the different things of what you're doing and such out in the world of DJ.
Yep.
Cool stuff. Amanda, I want to thank you for coming on tonight. There's some great information there. And again, if you guys want to, I'll get the link in the description here in a few minutes. I'm going to try to get those up here between segments. If not, I'll get them up at the end so you guys can pop out and check those out. And you can ask questions. And we're looking forward to some more tutorials in the Ableton world.
Thanks, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
really enjoyed myself.
Thanks for joining us. And we'll be back in just a couple of minutes, gang, with Arnaldo. And we're going to be talking about the things that we can do to help save the DJ industry.